President Obama didn't try to keep his decision to exchange Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl for 5 Taliban detainees held in Guantanamo Bay under the radar, opting instead for the optics of a news conference to make the announcement. But it wasn't long before critics began hammering the president.
What was the White House's political calculus in terms of negotiating the release now? In making the deal to bring Sergeant Bergdahl home, it had to weigh 2 ideals Americans hold sacred. On one side of the scale, the mantra, "leave no soldier behind." On the other, the notion that America doesn't negotiate with terrorists. The White House celebrated its accomplishment of the former without describing, at least initially, the details of the latter. What were the factors that tipped the balance to go get Bergdahl? The administration says it saw video suggesting Sergeant Bergdahl's health was in jeopardy, justifying, it says, their need to act quickly. Some in the administration hoped the swap could test whether the Taliban could be a reliable negotiating partner as part of broader peace talks with the Afghan government. And the fanfare of the president's announcement suggests the administration thought the public would embrace Sergeant Bergdahl's return. A feel-good moment. What went wrong politically? Right away, you had members of Congress, including some Democrats, criticizing the White House for not consulting with them.
We're going to find out what the administration did, why they did it, and under what authority.
White House officials have called some of them to say the lack of notification had been an oversight. But the real blowback came when some members of Sergeant Bergdahl's unit began publicly saying he was a deserter. Secretary of the Army John McHugh says the military is glad Sergeant Bergdahl is free, but investigators will take a closer look at the case. Didn't the White House know about the questions surrounding Sergeant Bergdahl's capture? It would have been hard not to. A 2012 Rolling Stone article had an array of evidence suggesting Sergeant Bergdahl abandoned his unit. Also, the Pentagon's own report, while not concluding he deserted, certainly hinted as much. The president's response to the deserter question: America does what it can to get a soldier back,
regardless of the circumstances.
What about the Guantanamo prisoners he set free? Leaked documents show that these men were high-level Taliban officials that the U.S. had regarded as dangerous to America and its allies. Scenes of former Taliban detainees arriving in Doha, Qatar to hugs and celebration, giving more ammo to White House critics. Did the White House see the blowback coming? We don't know how much consideration the president's advisors gave to the potential political fallout.
This is not a political football.
But politically, why should they care anyway? Control of the U.S. Senate hangs in the balance in the midterm elections, and the Bergdahl prison swap threatens to become a liability to Democrats. And it now puts potential 2016 presidential candidate Hillary Clinton in a tough spot. As she promotes her book, Hard Choices, she's being asked what hard choice she would have made. The former Secretary of State says, "I don't believe in second-guessing people who have to make these hard choices."
Whether to back the president on Bergdahl, that's a hard choice many of his closest allies now face. That's the short answer.